Hey everyone, this is Mike Smith. In this presentation we're going to have a look at H5P and the local editor Lumi, and after a brief look at the history of H5P and what it is, we're going to see how far we can push it in the future for longitudinal language testing. Let's get started. So the topic points we'll cover today: what actually is H5P and a little bit of history, how it's most commonly used, on what platforms. Then we'll look at Lumi to author questions locally, which is going to make life a lot easier for most English language teachers. And then also using Lumi to export to HTML so that your files can be hosted anywhere, and even just looked at on a local computer. And then looking at creating question sets in bulk, and this is the key to standardized progress monitoring over a long period of time. We'll be looking at Lumi Output to create a visual graphical output, and then we're going to see how far we can push that into the future. So what is H5P? H5P is an authoring package, and it's useful for creating quizzes of many different types. It's based on JavaScript, and it outputs HTML5 code, which means then that it can be hosted on any web platform. It can integrate with content management systems and learning management systems. And one of the key features is that most of the exercises are optimized for use on mobile devices. H5P is the modern equivalent of hot potatoes. So for those who remember sausage software, JClose, JQuiz, JMatch, and all of that stuff, you will be pleased to know that the creativity that went into hot potatoes has gone into H5P, and H5P is open source as a result of that. Some of you English language teachers may remember around 2001 there were a couple of websites, a4esl.org and also manythings.org, primarily out of Japan. Some English language teachers over in Japan who are also web tech aware. They created this amazing website full of hot potatoes quizzes, and it set the scene for interactive quiz authoring packages for many years. Those websites are still up, and although the Flash-based components are no longer operating, certainly the hot potatoes quizzes are still working, and they are just as useful now as they were back then. So how are most people using H5P? Well, typically people would download sample files from the website h5p.org and then upload those to a content management system like WordPress or a learning management system like Moodle or Blackboard, and then edit and author and publish from there. You can also use the commercial version of H5P, h5p.com, and use that to host and publish your H5P exercises. But as you can see, that's not a free service. So a lot of people get a little bit confused by this. You can download the exercises, and if you have an authoring package, you can create as many exercises as you like. You can share, you can copy, duplicate. However, if you want to publish, you need a platform, and most people would be using their work platform, whether it's a learning management system or a WordPress site. A lot of smaller content providers would be using WordPress as their content management system, and H5P works pretty well on that. However, Moodle and WordPress need to be hosted somewhere. I don't believe H5P works with the .com version of WordPress. You need to have a self-hosted site. So if you look at those, then you start spending money on a monthly basis. H5P.com I started with myself before it was as expensive as shown on the screen here. But now it's actually cheaper for me to host my own WordPress site and author and publish from there. I would suggest the best solution if you're seriously developing content would be to create a self-hosted WordPress site. You can set one of those up for $20 a month or more. That's not a huge cost outlay. If you want to edit locally on a computer, download a piece of software called Lumi. That's free and open source, and I've included the link here. This will allow you to create, combine, and to a certain extent publish as well. This is what H5P looks like in WordPress on the left hand side and Lumi on the right hand side. And in edit mode, they also look very similar, as you can see. The great advantage of Lumi is its export feature. You can export your H5P file to a HTML file, and once you do that, it suddenly becomes possible to place it almost anywhere. You can put it on a local drive and it will just open up in a browser. You can upload it to a web server, and it will be completely self-contained. You can also embed it into a web page as well. So that's fantastic. And also you can export to a SCORM package, which means it will interface properly from a gradebook point of view. It will interface properly with a learning management system. As well, you can include a reporter so that if you upload to a HTML web page, and then distribute that page or share that page to your students, they will be able to download their results and then email them back to you. The reporter is a particularly useful feature for an English language teacher working by themselves, or perhaps a small business. Now, this is where things get much more exciting, because the H5P file format is open source, and inside are some files which can be opened, and you'll find if you do that they are a standard format. As you can see here, the questions are formatted in a way that is human readable. And more than that, you can create code to output that code. So, and that's what we've done. We've got our question sets in a database so that we can store them efficiently. And then we've got some program code, which in turn creates the H5P code. And what that means is that we can create interactive booklets in H5P format in a very short period of time, efficiently, and avoiding a lot of the errors associated with repetitive tasks. So what this means is that you can create test after test after test at similar levels of difficulty, and then use Lumi's output to visually plot a student's strengths and weaknesses. Now you get a diagram like this, and this could be multiple students in a class so that you can see which types of errors students are making, or it could be a single student tracked over a long period of time to look at their progress. This is a very exciting development. So where are we going with this? Well, imagine if we could test a student time and time again with tests that cover the entire levels from CFR A2 all the way up to C1, and track their progress over a period of time, and also identify where their strengths and weaknesses are so the teacher can actually focus on those areas of need. We would be able to track that student and observe their improvement in the different areas, and also a reduction and smoothing out of the jaggedness of their profile as well over that period of time. And that is our next goal.